Good afternoon, it's time. It's time for yet another NFL Bucky's Mail Day. This is your host, Mike C, and of course, Star Show, as always, a bitter Bucky, not better, well, that too. Say hi, Bucky. Bucky says hi, I'm bitter. Well, it was not a good week for my teams, I'll tell you that, at least 2 out of 3 of them. And, so we go with the good stuff first. The Hawks are doing pretty well, actually. I don't have their record, because I forgot to write it down. But they're doing well. They're hanging in there, and I think they qualify the playoffs. But it's so far in advance. It's not even funny. But they're a very young team, but they're doing well, much better than I thought they would be doing. So that's encouraging. That's the end of the positivity. Last week's video got 6 views, which is not a lot, but like I said, it is what it is. I get what I can get, and I don't do it for the biorhythms or that's just I do it for myself. But I appreciate people watching. Let's start with Saturday, Bucky. Get that out of the way so you don't get so bitter. The Wisconsin Badgers lost to the Indiana Hoosiers 31-7. Indiana is the number 2 ranked team in the country. They got the number 1 quarterback and most likely overall number 1 pick in next year's draft. It was 10-7 at halftime, and it was a little encouraging. But then they didn't obviously score the rest of the game, so I don't know what the hell happened there. But it's the first time they haven't qualified for the playoffs 2 years in a row since, I want to say, 2017. It's been a while, regardless. And so that 1 week of good feeling just evaporated into thin air. And I'm not sure they're going to win another game this year. We'll see. I don't know if Fickle will be around next year. We'll see. It's just not looking very, very positive for Buckyland here. But we go on. There's still, the hockey team's doing well, both men and women. Basketball is starting up for them, and there's some positivity in Badgerland, but just not in the football area. Worst news? Well, yeah, probably. Sunday night's game with the Lions. But first, Bucky, what in the world do you have in front of you? Well, the Lions played and lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 16-9. And in front of Bucky, I've got a dual autograph card. I don't remember. I must have obviously had the Eagles. It's been a long time. Those 2 autographs, Wilbert Montgomery, running back, and Harold Carmichael. Very big wide receiver for the time. Well, still now. But, so that's cool. So that's my Eagles representation. I didn't have any, Philadelphia cream cheese or a Rocky picture. I thought of stuff like that, but I thought, well, I know I got, Eagles card, so I'll use that. Ugly game. Just the Lions defense played very well. They have a top 5, I believe, overall defense. Not a lot of sacks, not a lot of pressures. I don't know how many times, for how long I said, no pass rush. And they didn't have one last night. Just Hutchinson didn't have a great game. I think he got half a sack, a couple of pressures, but he wasn't really a factor. But the defensive backs did well, even though they're injured. Linebackers did very well. They pretty much shut down the Eagles. Jalen Hurts didn't, except for a couple of runs, didn't really have a great passing day. The running backs didn't do well. One receiver did okay, but 16 points for the Eagles is pretty good, and they could have won the game. They had a horrible call against them for a pass interference against Rocky Sin. Never should have been called, but it's the Lions, so they get screwed all the time. But they would have got the ball back, and who knows. But as badly as they played, they still almost pulled the damn thing out. But too many penalties, too many, just poor offense. Jared Goff had probably his worst game, one of the worst games for sure as a Lion. He had a glove on because it was rainy and windy and a little bit of snow at the end of the game, but just took the damn thing off because it wasn't helping him any. It was just ugly game. And here comes Murphy. They had the running game was almost non-existent. Gibbs had another great game, catching. He got over 100 yards catching the ball, and some big plays running the ball. Montgomery didn't have a good. Montgomery, so I think Montgomery. And nobody else. The running backs didn't really have a good game, and Amon-Ra had a bad game, like 5 drops, which is very, very uncommon for him. No tight end because their tight end was injured, and I need somebody to explain to me why the hell did they trade a 3rd-round pick for Tesla and they never use him. I think they went to him one. They don't use him. They went to him one time, maybe more than that, but I only heard his name mentioned once. So I don't understand that at all. But Goff was terrible. Dan Campbell went for fourth down 5 times. Didn't make any of them. There comes a point you just have to just punt the ball or kick a field goal, which he could have done. But he went for it every time. Then he punted with like 4 minutes left. Then he punts instead of going for it. The reasoning was just very questionable, and overall their offense was just they couldn't do anything. Goff was terrible passing, very inaccurate. Just couldn't hit anybody, and they got Eagles have a very good defensive line, especially. And they were, harassing Goff the entire game. They deflected I don't know how many passes of his and just got to him and just messed him up. Lack of a better term. And, I blame Goff. I blame Dan Campbell, and the overall offense just was not clicking at all. They averaged like 30-some points, and they only got 9. So what does that tell you? Yet, at the very end, they still almost came back to tie. But one, I have to mention, what's his name? Jim Williamson, got a touchdown. He had a relatively good game. And he does a jackass thing by trying to hump the goalpost. They got fined. He will get fined for that too. 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Just stupid. And he's done that many times. Oh, he's learned from it. Obviously, he hasn't, because he still commits these stupid fouls. And then the extra point was brought back. I think it was 10, maybe 15 yards, and it was windy as hell out there, and he missed the extra point because of that. So it didn't affect the actual outcome, but it changed the strategy a little bit, and you just can't be doing stupid things like that. And he's a great player and a great talent, but he keeps making dumb mistakes. I'm getting sick of it. But I don't have too much else as far as the game goes. Just, man, as badly as they played offensively, they still had a chance to maybe tie or even go ahead. If they got another touchdown, they might have gone for 2 points. Who knows? But there was no consistency in that game, and not pleasant to watch. Only dropped one F-bomb, which surprised me as badly as they played. But That's not too bad. Like good news yesterday was the Vikings lost, but the Bears won. So it's that was a tough game because you want the Bears to lose and the Vikings would win. It's like, but Vikings played okay. They had the lead, and they kicked off, and then they let I can't remember who it was, a Bears returner to get a huge return. And they got the winning field goal, and that was it. So the Bears are in first. Packers are in second because they won again. And Lions are third. And the Vikings are in fourth. So, that was the only, good thing that the Vikings lost. But for that to happen, the Bears had to win. And the Chiefs lost too. So it was overall a bad game. It was a good game though. But next week the Badgers play Illinois at Wisconsin. And Illinois is 7-3. Badgers are 3-7. I doubt they're going to win that one. And next week the Lions play the G-Men. They have 3 home games in a row, which is very odd, but we'll take it. And then they got Thanksgiving Day against the Packers. So that's going to be, a huge game. Then they got, I think it's Dallas after that. They got 3 home games in a row. They can win all 3. We're back, in good grace, but it's going to be tough. At least 2 out of 3, but I'd like, get that third one. But Packers they're okay. Their offense is really setting the world on fire. But they got the Steelers coming up. They got the Rams coming up with Stafford. Then the last 2 games, they got the Vikings again in Minnesota, and the Bears, I believe, is the last game of the year. So we'll see what happens. But there's Murphy again. Thank you, Murphy. The season's not over. Some players just they're burn everything down. No, the season's not over. They still can get back on track. They still get players back. Their secondary's decimated. They'll get some more of those players back. It's the offensive line. Now, for the longest time, I've been saying, with the Lions' first draft pick, they should draft a defensive end. I'm not so sure now because they need help on offensive line. My God. And they just got roasted. And it wasn't pretty. But speaking of not pretty, that's about it, Bucky. It's not pretty outside, that's for sure. But I think that's about it. So, for Mike Scenic Horse Star Show, still bitter, but he's getting better. It's Bucky. Say bye, Bucky. Bucky says bye. I'm getting better. All right, so take care, everybody. Stay safe and warm, and we'll catch you down the road. Bye now.